Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. I saw a beautiful Midrash just recently that I wanted to share in this week's Parashat Naso, which deals extensively, the longest parasha of the year, extensively with the contributions of the Nesi'im, the princes of the tribes, during the Chanukat HaMizbeach, the inauguration of the Mizbeach, and each one gave the exact same amount, which was miraculous in its own right. And the Midrash addresses a question that, frankly, I never thought about. And it really is a good question. And I'd like to go through it with you and see the Midrash's answer and maybe take out a few points from it where we can learn something. So the Midrash begins quoting a pasuk from Sefer Tehillim. The pasuk says, "Hetiva birtonecha et Tzion." Do good in your favor unto Tzion. Az tachbot zivche tzedek. When you build the walls of Jerusalem, then you will desire the offerings of the righteousness. And the Midrash goes on to explain, Lefi sheba midbar, in the desert, ba'akamat hamishkan, when the Mishkan was erected, he krivu lachanukat hamizbeach kim'ah. The Nesi'im, the princes, donated a meager donation, a very paltry donation to the Chanukat HaMizbeach, the dedication of the Mizbeach. Kemadetema, as it's written, Korbano ka'arat kesef, one silver bowl, kafachat, one spoon, parechad, one bowl, se'ir izim, some goats, uzevach shelamim. So I like to compare this to maybe, when you're taking a measuring spoon and you dip your measuring spoon in and then you smooth it out at the top. So you make sure it's exact. Like they gave one bowl, one spoon. What's going on over here? How exactly does this make sense? These Nesi'im were actually quite wealthy. They were very wealthy indeed. So to give such a meager, small donation, the Midrash is wondering what's happening over here. Hare kol korban. That's the entire offering. Yes, it was the same as everybody else, but it was small. So the Midrash says, "Lema davar domeh." What can we compare this to? Lemelech she'atza derech. For example, we can compare this to a king. And the attendants would bring him a meal appropriate for the road and appropriate for the hotel where he lodged. So, for example, you're going on a road trip, you're going to prepare some tuna sandwiches, some egg sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly, whatever it is. Now, for the king looks at this. He tells his attendants, is this how you honor me? Is this the way you provide for me? Any melech, any sholeh b'malchut? Am I not a king? Do I not rule over the kingdom? Good point. What's going on? What kind of food is this? So Amrulo, they told him, Adonenu, our master. But derech anachnu, we are on the road. We are traveling on a little road trip. Ulfia derech, ulfia pundak ichnasnu lecha. And through or by means of where we are, and because of where we are, we brought you a meal that is appropriate for the road and appropriate for the hotel. But when we arrive to the province, when we arrive to the palace, that's when you're going to see how much we're going to honor you. So the Midrash says, the same thing happened when the Midbar was erected in the desert. The tribal leaders, they gave a very small gift, a single bowl, a single spoon, a ladle, one bowl. That was their gift, very small. So God said, Kachu kevodi, is my glory thus? Is this all I'm getting? Amrulo, the answer, the Ribon Alamim, Master of the worlds, Bamidbar, in the desert. Anu netunim, we are situated here. And we're giving you a donation based on how we are situated. We are in the desert, is what we have. But when you get to your palace, you will see how many animals we are going to bring before you. This is the meaning of that first pasuk that the Midrash quoted from Tehillim. Do good in your favor unto Tzion. Build the walls of Jerusalem. When the walls of Jerusalem are going to be built, you're going to see you will see the bulls go up on your altar. It's not just going to be one bull, it's bulls in plural. And of course, Beken at Moshe Shlomo, that's exactly what happened with Shlomo HaMelech. When he built the Bet HaMikdash, ubikesh le'akriv lachanukat Bet HaMikdash, and he wished to bring offerings to the dedication of the Bet HaMikdash, What does the pasuk say? Re'maktiv vayizbach Shlomo zerach shelamim. Shlomo brought the peace offerings, and the pasuk goes on to say that he brought 120,000 of the flock, 120,000 korbanot, as part of the dedication of the Bet Hamikdash. V'chen b'mei Ezra, the same thing we see with Ezra, and that's the meaning of Etiva b'tzonecha Tzion as tachbot, and as the Midrash concludes. So I was thinking we can probably learn a few very, very powerful lessons from this Midrash. Number one, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges our service in context. He doesn't demand more than what's possible. Although from the start of the Midrash, that's what it seemed like, because saying, hey, what's going on? Well, why are you only giving me such a meager, small, paltry donation? But after Bnei Yisrael explained, listen, this is what we have. We're in the desert. We can't provide more, but we are going to provide more in the future. He accepted it. He did not answer back to the Nesi'im's response. So that's number one. Number two, another thing we can learn is that there's going to be a future where our worship and our service and our connection of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be fuller. We have to live with spiritual ambition. And even though the circumstances right now might not be ideal in our lives, we have to think in the future and how much better we can be. And that's a very important idea. First of all, it brings a certain level of humility to ourselves. We have to be humble. We have to aspire to do more, that even though right now you can't do it. Everybody's at different stages in their lives. Some people find themselves in a midbar. They find themselves stuck in a certain area of their spiritual growth, and this is all that they can provide Hashem right now. That's okay. There's nothing wrong. But as long as you aspire for more and you tell Hashem, there's going to be a time where we're going to enter your palace, and therefore, and I'm going to bring more because I can either afford more or I have more koach to do so. That's okay, as long as you're pushing and you're aspiring to increase your spiritual goals and objectives. And last but certainly not least, I think this is probably the major or the main idea here in this Midrash, is that physical space matters. Physical space matters in our spiritual expression. When our world, the world we live in, aligns with our spiritual goals, then our korbanot, our avodah, our offerings can reach a much spiritual height. You cannot compare a person that prays in a beautiful Bet Knesset to a person that prays on the corner or in the mall, somewhere on the street, or in a park under a tree. And although the tefillah, he's fulfilling the mitzvah, yes, he's fulfilling the mitzvah, but you can't compare. When your physical surroundings are so beautiful, then your spiritual elevation offerings mean that much more. And I think that's what the message that the Nesi'im were trying to convey. That, you know what? Right now, this is where we are. We're in the desert. There's no trees. It's probably one of the ugliest places on earth. There's no greenery. It's hot. It's brutal. Things are not easy. We're traveling all around. We don't know when we're going to reach our destination. This is what we can do. And it's good. It's good. But we know that one day we're going to reach the city, and one day we're going to reach your palace. We're going to get to the Bet Hamikdash or the Bet Knesset, and that's when we're really going to show you how our offerings, our korbanot, can be elevated to the dimension that we know we can reach. So just a few ideas on this beautiful Midrash on this week's Parashat. Wishing everybody a wonderful evening and a Shabbat Shalom. All the best.